All right, everyone, how are we doing? We've got a jam-packed video, jambo-packed video, today. Celtic are playing Hearts tomorrow. We're going to chat about the game, plenty to get into with regards to that, and loads of really interesting news stories yesterday. Well, two. Is two loads? Celtic are playing Hearts in like a matter of hours now, which seems very weird to say given that we have just played Hearts, but really not much time between these two fixtures. You've effectively just got the whole of Thursday, the whole of Friday, which we're kind of midway through at this stage, and then early tomorrow we're going to be back in action, and it's a big game. It's a Scottish Cup quarter-final, and it's a do or die, winner progresses to the next round. That's kind of how cup competitions work. But very much looking forward to it. I enjoyed Wednesday night. Tough match. It felt like a proper match at times. I thought it was a brilliant crowd as well at Celtic Park. Really good atmosphere. Yeah, loving that tune at the moment. Probably my favourite Celtic fan song right now. It was great on Wednesday night. Wasn't quite at the level of Hampden at half-time, but that's going to be tough to beat. And I thought the crowd was really good on Wednesday night, given that it was a rearranged fixture. Excellent crowd and an excellent win for Celtic. But now we move on. Before we go all in on Tynecastle, let's just visit a few other stories happening at the moment. What have we got? Yeah, link in the description, everyone. We are going to start with an appointment at Celtic that hasn't actually been announced by the club, but we can safely say is happening or has already happened. Yesterday, Mark Hendry from Football Scotland, he's been on the channel in the past, reported that Celtic had strengthened their scouting team with the appointment of a guy called Joe Dudgeon. Now, as is often the case with these kind of things, it came very much out of the blue. So I went to verify this story, checked his LinkedIn, and he is indeed now employed by Celtic. He's down as lead first team scout at Celtic Football Club. So, that sounds like a pretty big deal. I scrolled down then to his previous experience, and it's quite interesting because he's been at the City Football Group between December 2019 and September 2022, so nearly 3 years there. He was tasked with overseeing international recruitment in that role, and as you can see under that, prior to that, he was at Manchester City, where he had a couple of roles. He started out as a coach before moving on to the scouting side of things as emerging talent scout, which again, at a club like that sounds like a pretty big role with big responsibilities. On his days prior to that, he was a footballer. He was a left back, playing most notably for Hull City. He retired in the summer of 2015, aged just 24, which, to put that in context, is younger than me. And there's not many things that are younger than me. Stevie certainly isn't one, neither's John. But no laughing matter for Dudgeon, because he was forced to retire at a young age due to having knee issues. I think he had knee issues and kind of got over that, but then what often happens with these things is that you then have the other muscles and joints and whatever, kind of compensating for it, they start to go. And I think it was just a kind of combination of all of this that forced him to retire at such a young age. There's a must-read article from Hull Live from, I think, the start of 2020, around about the time of the pandemic, which is an interview with Dudgeon where he kind of talks a little bit about this kind of stuff. I will link that below next to the book link. And yeah, there's one quote in particular that I really like, and when he was asked about, injuries cutting his career short, and he said, "The way I've been brought up and the way my brain works, I tell myself I've been given a head start on what I needed to do after football. You've just got to crack on. There's a lot more things in life you need to worry about." That, to me, just seems like the perfect attitude for working at Celtic under Ange, not feeling sorry for yourself, not making excuses. and I think he'll be a good fit at Celtic. One thing I've not mentioned is that he worked with Mark Lowell at the City Football Group, so the pair are reunited at Celtic, which is obviously promising. And most importantly, this arrival, this appointment is going to have been signed off by Ange. Ange is going to be a fan of this, and if it's good as far as Ange is concerned, it is good. I think we've reached that point now where you just trust everything Ange does. Recruitment hasn't been bad to this point. It's actually been incredibly good, but I think it's even more encouraging that Celtic are getting all of these things into place, possibly even for a time when Ange is gone. We know Ange likes to leave some sort of a legacy, and I think it's good that we're getting our kind of off-the-field stuff into place. I just want to say that Ange is staying for a good while longer yet. But I think this is a good appointment. He will be judged on the players that he brings to the club, but it is positive to see Celtic just continually trying to strive to be better. So we'll hear more about Joe Dudgeon, I would think. Another story that broke yesterday that I don't want to spend too much time on, but I think is another one that's going to be interesting for the future, is the creation of a new marketing division in Scottish football. Scottish Football Marketing, it's called, and I must say I'm hoping for more imaginative ideas as we go on. But it was launched yesterday in a joint statement from the SFA, the SPFL and the SWPL. Now, in that statement, they describe the new Hampden-based division as a centralised commercial hub to revolutionise the promotion and marketing of the national game in Scotland. Now, to me, that just sounds like management speak, efficiency, turnover, profitability. We David Brent reference for you, the Office fans in there. But generally, it does seem like this is a good idea. The joined up thinking, which is apparently something business people say as well, from the SPFL, the SFA, the SWPL, all getting their heads together and trying to promote Scottish football in as good a light as possible. Celtic are said to have been involved in the discussions that brought about this, with the late Ron Gordon of Hibernian driving the review. So it seems like Scottish football might be about to kind of promote itself a little bit better. I love Scottish football. I think the big thing we have going for us is how much it matters to people in this country. Now, I'm obviously biased, but there can't be many other countries around the world that have such an obsession with football, over any other sport. And the amount of people that go to football, that watch football, that eat and drink football, not literally, is amazing. And I feel like we need to promote that more. And hopefully we're going to start seeing stories being told here in Scottish football marketed much better, so we can get better deals and better sponsors and all of this stuff, because I think we have a wonderful game. Sure, a lot of the football isn't as good as what you're going to see, down south or even in other leagues in Europe. But what we've got going for us is passion, and you get passion in every game in Scotland, so let's promote it. And that's me getting off my soapbox, and we'll continue with the show. Some people, by the way, might ask why I care. Why does it matter to Celtic fans? Why does it matter to Celtic? Scottish football being viewed in a good light is positive for Celtic, and it's as simple as that for me. A few other stories that I spotted yesterday while I was writing on the website, and you can read more about these on 67hailhail.com. I'm not going to go in depth on these. Kenny Dalglish says Celtic supporters have bought thousands of tickets for the Liverpool Legends versus Celtic Legends match at Anfield later this month. Very impressive for a match that doesn't matter and is former players in a charity game. Also, discussions are ongoing about a potential change to the bottom of the SPFL pyramid, with 3 options on the table. Now, this is going to affect Celtic B. We're currently playing in the Lowland League. One of the options on the table could even see us potentially promoted, or being able to be promoted as high as League One, the third tier of Scottish football. So this is going to rumble on for some time to come. And that's kind of where we're at. That all ended very quickly there. Let's just chat about tomorrow's game then before we go. It's Tynecastle, the second hardest ground for us to visit at the moment. And as I said earlier, it's a do or die Scottish Cup knockout, no replays. It's going to be decided tomorrow. If we lose, we'll do that first. The treble dream is over. for another season. If we win, people are going to get very excited about the prospect of a treble, given how good we've been at Hampden over the last 6 or 7 seasons. But it's going to be a really tough match. It's a big one tomorrow. Someone should probably have told the Hearts support that, though, because they really haven't sold that many tickets. Certainly earlier in the week, I saw a few of their fans online moaning about the lack of promotion done by the club, moaning about the lack of tickets that have been sold for such a big fixture. I'm kind of surprised about that, because my thinking was, to win the Cup, Hearts are probably going to have to beat us. And surely doing it at Tynecastle is the best chance they've got, certainly better than Celtic Park. So why not try and get it packed? I certainly expected it to be full. I still think there'll be a good crowd there, but it's not going to be packed. I guess the ticket prices and probably the reputation of this Celtic team under Ange and how unbeatable we have kind of seemed to be over the last 3 or 4 months. It's probably played a part in that. So it's good news for us that it's not going to be jam-packed Tynecastle, but it still will be loud. Now, I wrote an article on Robbie Neilson's, how else can you put it other than Celtic meltdowns yesterday for the website. Did loads of research, and I wasn't going to let all of that go to waste on the channel. So yeah, let's take a wee run through some of the things that Robbie Neilson has said after defeats to Celtic over the last 18 months. These are all over the last 18 months. Remarkable. Starting on Wednesday after the game at Celtic Park, when he said, usually when you come to Parkhead, you need decapitation before they get a red card against them. It wasn't to be today, but it was nearly a leg off. Now, clearly unaware that Celtic have actually had 2 players sent off in home Premiership games in the league this season alone. It's just yet more evidence of Neilson not being able to accept things going against his Hearts side and Celtic beating his Hearts side. And this has been a pretty constant theme over the last wee while. After the side's 1-0 loss at Celtic Park last season, he said, "I'd end up going to jail if I said what I really think about it. I've never seen anything like it in my life, but that's Scottish football. You're in Glasgow." Totally rational reaction there from him. What about later on in the season after the 4-1 win we had over Hearts that effectively secured us the league title? Was Neilson magnanimous in defeat? I think we all know the answer to that. The less said about that, the better from Don Robertson's perspective. When you come through to Glasgow, you have to get these decisions. If you don't get these decisions, then it's very, very difficult. After a 2-0 win over the Jambos earlier this season, he blamed the referee once again. Until the referee sends 2 of our players off, we're still in the game and in a good position. But once that happens, it makes it very difficult. You hope that an experienced referee would recognise the situation. And earlier this season, from a game at Tynecastle, a very controversial game when Celtic won 4-3, he bizarrely said, "We absolutely rattled Celtic today." He rattled us so much that we still scored 4 goals and won the game, despite VAR conspiring against us that day, chopping off a pretty goodly Alabada goal for an offside, and obviously not giving us that Stonewall penalty when Michael Smith handballed it. So bizarre. Anyway, the good ending to all of this Neilson stuff is that we have potential for more tears tomorrow if Celtic do the business at Tynecastle. I'm on with Stevie as well, so there could be tears from him as well on the reaction, not because he doesn't want Celtic to win, just because Robbie Neilson winds him up a fair amount. I might actually delay the reaction a bit tomorrow, just so we can get Neilson's interview coming in. Or maybe I'll feed it to him live on air and see how he reacts. That could be worth watching tomorrow, everyone, especially if we get a result. Joking aside, it is all about Celtic tomorrow. This video is going out before I've seen any Ange comments. There's obviously a few injury concerns in there. I guess he'll be asked about Dyson Maeda. We'll wait and see if he's fit to play. I would kind of think he probably won't start, certainly. This is the team that I'm going for, and this may age very badly given that I don't have Ange's team news at the point of recording. I'm going for Joe Hart in goals, back 4 of Alistair Johnson, Cameron Carter-Vickers, Carl Starfelt and Greg Taylor, with Callum McGregor, Aaron Moy and Rayo Hatate in the midfield, Jota on the right, Kyogo through the middle and Haksabanovic starting on the left. Now, whether we will see that front 3 or not, I don't know, but it's what I want to see. I don't think we ever have before. Maybe one or two times actually earlier in the season, but certainly not for a while from the start. So I'd be very excited to see that. VAR is in use tomorrow. Oh no. This is the official team that we're looking at. Referee Kevin Clancy, assistants David McGeechee and Dougie Potter. The fourth official is David Monroe. VAR is Willie Collum, and assistant VAR is Daniel McFarlane. So all set for tomorrow. Just before I go, I've got a few shout outs to people I met on Wednesday. Luke Thompson, who I didn't actually meet on Wednesday, but I met your brother Zach, who was very nice and says you're a big fan of the channel, so thanks very much. Also the guy I met on the train up to Glasgow, he knows who he is, and the guy who came up to me at an unnamed coffee establishment near where I live. Again, he'll know who he is. So thanks very much for being sound people. And speaking of sound people, I'll be on the channel tomorrow post-match. Stevie's going to join me. I don't know if you'd class him as being sound, but maybe he'll be sound tomorrow. Speak to you then.